Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh. Hi, guys. And
Hi.
hello, all you viewers out there. I am so excited to be here with you. Welcome to the 2024 Latinx Kidlit Festival. And welcome to our event, Get On Your Feet. And we hope by the end of this, you will get on your feet. So before I start with introductions of these lovely, talented authors, I have a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. So first, please read our anti-harassment policy in the chat box. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Latinx Kidlit Book Festival's YouTube channel. And if you are a school, classroom, librarian, or educator joining us, our school visit fund is back. You can enter to win a free visit from a Latinx author or illustrator for your classroom or library. You can find the link to the entry form in the chat. So good luck. Okay, so let's get started and introduce ourselves to our viewers. How about you, Cynthia? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be back. This is a wonderful festival. This is my third time here. So I love this festival. I'm really happy to be here with you all and connecting. My name is Cynthia Harmony. I'm a children's book author. I'm also an educational psychologist. So I used to work in museums for children in science, creating exhibits. And I started publishing education books. And now I have a bunch of trade books I will show you. This is one. This is a board book about Mexico. And then I shared at another festival my first picture book, which is Mi Ciudad Sings. And I'm so happy to be here today to share this new one. It's called A Flicker of Hope. We get to read it soon. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you, Cynthia, and I can't wait. Well, we all can't wait to hear your story. How about you, Steena? What do you have to say?
So I'm Steena. Hello, everyone. Steena Hernandez, and I live in San Antonio, Texas with my family. I write children's stories, and my debut picture book, Lupita's Brown Ballet Slippers, illustrated by Melissa Castillo, comes out this October 22nd with Beaming Books. I'm so excited.
Yay! All right, and Denise, how about sharing something with us?
Sure. So my name is Denise Rosario Adusei. I am streaming live from the Bronx Children's Museum in New York City. I'm very excited to be sharing my first book that just came out, Cesaria Feels the Beat, today. And being part of the festival. And so we're looking forward to a great day today.
Thank you, thank you. And last but not least, there's me. Again, my name is Jackie Azúa Kramer. I'm a picture book author. I live in Long Island, New York. Real quick, I have 2 kids and 2 grandbabies, new grandbabies. Woohoo! I often get asked by readers, where do my ideas come from? When I write my stories. And I say everywhere. The ideas are just all around me, but the ones that are closest to my heart are inspired by my Latinx roots. My mother from Puerto Rico, my father from Ecuador, and also I have family in Spain as well. And stories like Empanadas for Everyone was inspired by my grandmother and making empanadas with her. And there's actually a recipe in the back of the book. I'm also inspired. I'm a very curious person, bordering on being nosy. I I love to travel. I love to talk to people. I love to eat. I love to get out in the natural world. And all of that inspired this story, We Are One, because I wanted to share and reflect how we are so much more alike than we are different, how we are each connected to each other, and not only to each other, but to the natural world, right? And that's very important today. And also, as I say, I like to talk to people. This story was inspired, Manolo and the Unicorn, by an experience my son had. And so we wrote this story together, Jonah and myself. And who doesn't love unicorns? Because unicorns are real. Okay, so now that we've introduced each other, I think it's time to get to our stories. So, Cynthia, why don't you start us off?
Sure. So before I begin reading from the book, I will just want to say something real quick about this one. It's called A Flicker of Hope. It was written by me and it's illustrated by Devon Holsworth. And it's published by Viking and Penguin Random House. It came out February of this year. So it's been a few months out, and it's this parallel story of a monarch butterflies and this little girl. Her name is Lucia, and her papa. They live in Michoacan, which is a state in Mexico, where the monarch butterflies have their reserve. They go there in the winter months, and they live there, and then they have to migrate north in the spring, and then come back the following winter to the same place. And that happens every year. And this family, Lucia and her papa, live in the monarch reserve, but her papa has to leave this time also. He has to travel, has to go on a journey north, just like the butterflies. So they're mirroring each other, and it's a story of both of them. So we can begin. Lucia and Papa sit silently, watching, wondering, wishing. Monarcas perch sleepily, stretching, swaying, shifting. Lucia puts away her winter capa. Papa strums his fingers along the strings of the old guitarra. Songs soothe weeping hearts, he says, humming Lucia's favorite tune. Papa's journey north is near. Spring has arrived. Monarca's wings sparkle with the morning light. They savor a last sip of water. Soon they will journey north too. Will you come back? Lucia asks, clutching Papa's guitar. Sí, mi amor. When the weather turns cold and the monarchas return, our winged ancestors will guide me home, he promises with a hug. Papa's silhouette blends in with the fears. Lucia stands still as a tree. Tears fall down, down, down. Adios, Papa. A flip-flop of orange and black. One by one, a million monarchs flicker magic into the sky. From the trees, the golden veil dances up, up, up. Adios, mariposas. The bright orange in the forest fades, leaving only the scent of pine and hope behind. Abuela Mama teaches children to braid baskets tight and strong. Like generations before them, families weave sweet-scented okoksha leaves and memories together. A tradition they know by heart. A frenzy of orange and black. Together, monarchs chase tomorrow's dreams, joining in a flight their families have made for generations. A flight they know by heart. And I think
that,
yeah,
oh,
that's
okay. I was hanging on every word, Cynthia. Oh my goodness. I can't say enough of, I almost wanted to start crying there when you said down, 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 and then up, up, up. I just love it. First of all, the illustrations, beautiful.
They're
oh
amazing.
My goodness.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, Evan really blew everybody away with this book. It's really so beautiful.
Oh, so beautiful. I love that metaphor of the idea of the father having to go north to find work while the butterflies have to go north as well to do their work, because without going up north, they will not survive as a species. I thought that was so amazing. So I have so many questions for each and every one of you, but so I jotted them down. Please excuse me if I look over. So Cynthia, although your book isn't about music or dance specifically, your book includes a song Lucia and her papa share. Quote, songs soothe weeping hearts, Papa says, humming Lucia's favorite tune. The song is a symbol of their love and connection that's carried with the butterflies. Talk to us about that.
Yes. So our books, you will see they include song and music in different ways. And mine is an emotional journey. Yes, it's a symbol of the love between Lucia and her papa. So I wanted to include, because the butterflies are what connects them both, and that's part of the parallel story. But I also wanted to include something else that stayed with Lucia while papa was gone. So I thought about what other symbol, and I think music was something that fitted perfectly. I had memories of my dad used to play guitar when I was a kid. So that was just absolutely just like I wanted to include the guitar and the music that connected them. But also this was also a memory I had as a kid. Michoacan, where I explained where this book is set, is known for a little town called Paracho, and they make guitars. Like it's just all over the country. It's known that they made guitars forever. And we actually had a trip, a family trip, when I was a kid to go buy one of these guitars for my sister. She wanted to learn. So I remember, I have this in my memory, and I know it's something really special for the people of Michoacan. So I wanted to include the guitarra in this story.
I love that. I totally love, and those images of him and her singing together were just beautiful. So the words in your story felt musical, although again, not specifically a music and dance story. For example, he softly serenades Lucia mi corazón. His melody flutters and echoes in the wind. Or Lucia leans into the sweet sounds all around. Love encompasses every flip flap of orange and black. Is musicality of words something you consider when you're writing your picture books?
Absolutely. It's something really important. For me, I like writing lyrical stories. So it's something I really pay a lot of attention to. I think especially for picture books, because they're meant to be read out loud. So I think it needs to sound, it needs to bring in the reader in the story, but it also needs to sound a certain way. And each book has a different tone that you want to set. So like, for example, Miss Ciudad Sings, which is also about the music of this city, I paid a lot of attention to what the city would sound like. And because this book, A Flicker of Hope, is about the emotions and the connection and the love bond between Lucia and her papa, I wanted it to be about the love between them. So it needed to be soothing, lovely, and have this like softness to it. So I did, and I think that's why I fell in love with writing in the beginning, because I just love the power of the words that carry so much emotion, but also the sounds are important.
Absolutely. I think we would all agree as picture book authors that the words have to be so perfect, so evocative, and give us, because they're illustrated books, so much imagery. So when we hear the word, we can see what you're saying as well. Absolutely
Exactly.
agree with that.
Yeah, just one thing, just like a song, like when you hear a song and it stays with you long after you heard it, like I think that's also the intention of some stories, that when you close the book, it also can stay with you. And that's part of the musicality and the rhythm of words. Thank you.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah, I agree. So I think we have our next story coming up, unless one of you have something else you might want to ask Cynthia. We're good? Okay. So let's move on now to Miss Steena Hernandez and Lupita's brown ballet slippers.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Yeah, so this is actually the first time that I'm reading Lupita's Brown Ballet Slippers, written by me, illustrated by Melissa Castillo, aloud. So let's just get right into it. I'm ready.
I'm excited.
Lupita loved ballet with all her heart. At home, she practiced barefoot, stretching up to the sky. But in dance class, Lupita's tummy nodded like the bows on her slippers. Today we'll prepare for our upcoming recital, Miss Viola said. Everyone clapped, except for Lupita. Lovely lines, ladies, Miss Viola called. Lupita tried to focus on the moves, plie into passe and pirouette. But her shoulders slumped at the sight of her peachy pink ballet slippers. The stage lights will only make these slippers stand out even more, she thought. After class, she asked Miss Viola if the studio had another pair of ballet slippers, ones that were a better color for her. I'm sorry, we only have ballet slippers in one color, ballet pink. But they don't match my skin, she sniffed, her eyes filling with tears. They don't dance with me. Miss Viola frowned. I'm sorry, I wish I could help you. At home, Lupita tried searching for a store that made slippers for her. But when she finally found one, they cost more than what she had saved in her piggy bank. Her chest felt heavy. She wondered if she would ever get the right slippers. Maybe ballet isn't for me, she whispered. When Mommy tucked her in that night, Lupita sank deep into her pillow. Mija, you'll always be my beautiful dancer. Stay strong, Mommy said. That thought followed Lupita all the way into her dreams. She pranced and leapt like a lioness, shiny, bronze, and graceful. The other lions gathered around her as she roared with pride. When she woke up, an idea sprang into her mind like a grand jeté. She asked Mommy if she could borrow her makeup. Plop went the thick makeup onto the sponge. Messy, Lupita said. She spread the makeup onto the slippers and fanned them ready to dry. They would have to work for now until she could save up for a brand new pair. And then that's where we're going to start.
Thank you. Thank you, Steena. You know, I love in this story how there's so much agency in Lupita, so much almost bordering on activism. And I might say that too when we get to Cesaria Feels the Beat. And I just thought that was so important to invest that in a child, because children have very strong feelings and they have ideas too. And I love how she put those things to work. So for you, I love at the start of the story when you see Lupita dancing in bare feet, and in contrast, how sad she feels dancing with the pink slippers. The idea of being othered, left out, and feeling not herself. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes, thank you so much, Jackie. So when I first saw the illustrations by Melissa Castillo, of course, I was so excited. Like you said in that first spread, Lupita's just dancing so free, no ballet slippers, her toes between the grass, and the sky is the limit. The expression on her face is just pure joy, you know, and then we turn the page, and in picture books, page turns are really important. And right away, we see Lupita's expression just completely change. And we learn that the traditional pink ballet slippers simply don't match her skin. And she doesn't feel comfortable or confident for her upcoming recital. So that's a big moment. And I love that contrast that really just brings the reader right into the story problem right away.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So you mentioned, which is the readers today didn't get to see that, you mentioned Misty Copeland in the back matter, the first Black principal dancer of ABT, the American Ballet Theater. Woohoo! And she had shared in 2023 that she had to paint her shoes in 2023 with brown makeup to create that long line that a dancer wants. Is that still true, or can you buy them now?
Yes, Misty Copeland is a huge inspiration to me and to so many. Like you said, she is mentioned in the back matter of my book. She's been very vocal and open about pancaking her ballet slipper. And as you just saw, in the pages, pancaking is when a dancer of darker skin complexion will take a matching foundation or makeup, put it on a sponge, and then apply it to the ballet slipper. And that is so, like you said, the line stays long and is not cut by that lighter slipper. Dancers work very hard to achieve those elongated lines. So this is a very important process. I think both are true. Like you said, in 2023, we still see dancers in 2024 now pancaking their slippers, because it was only in 2018 that we started seeing a variety of different color ballet slipper shades become available on the market for dancers of color. So it's still something that's very new. Some of the varieties, depending on the brand, are, they don't have a lot of variety. And so we come in a lot of different shades. And so that's something that we are still seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. I just have to ask you, because this felt so heartfelt. Were you a ballet dancer? Is this something that you did, or you, you knew of somebody?
I started dancing when I was 3 years old. Ballet, tap, and jazz, actually. I went to a studio where my dance instructor wanted us, because I wanted to actually do a tap. I wanted to do tap, tap, tap. And she's like, that's fine, but your foundation is always ballet. So even if we didn't want to do ballet, we always had to continue with our ballet practice. And so then later I started tap and jazz. But yeah, ballet and dance specifically was a big part of my life. And I danced, and then I went to college to study ballet and music theater. And then I went on to tour and dance professionally and perform. And so it is very heartfelt. And
yeah, I just saw a comment pop up that I just went away. And there it is. My daughter is a dancer from Ines Lozano, and it hits home. Same happens with her tights.
Thank you, Inez.
About.
Yeah, very interesting. Whole other issue with tights. That's a whole other.
We'll have to have another book about that. Yes, yeah. I know. All these things are so important. So guess what? It's my turn. So I'm going to introduce myself again, Jackie Azúa Kramer. And the book I'm going to share with you is Am Salsa, illustrated by Alisa Chevari. And here we go. Oh, I just wanted to mention one thing to all of you out there, since this is about get on your feet. I'd like you to help me create a salsa band. Okay, so where there are going to be some salsa instruments being played, because salsa is not only a dance, but it is a rhythmic music. Okay, so maybe you can help me out with these sounds. All right. Every Saturday night, my family and our friends get together and dance to salsa's catchy rhythms. I love to watch Mami Papi, my older sisters Lulu y Ana, and my primos y abuelos twirl and spin with each quick pass. Papi tells me that from the time I had baby toes and marshmallow soles, I was taught to salsa too. But my clumsy feet always got twisted like licorice. Left was right and right was left, until I finally gave up. So tonight, as always, I sit and watch everyone dance, thinking, I'll join in next time. But Saturday comes around again quickly. Hours before the party, Lulu and Anna practice their salsa moves. They smile and wink and hold out their hands. Come on, Marisol, says Lulu. Dance with me, girl. Salsa is fast footwork, cries Anna, with turns and hips swaying. And just in time, like Wonder Woman, Mommy comes to the rescue. Come help me in the kitchen, Mari, says Mommy with a hug. See, Mommy, I say with relief. The first to arrive in a burst of laughter and perfume are my curvy aunties with mile-high hair and heels to match. Hola, Mari, Tia Sofia says. Wet kisses smoosh my cheeks as they top their plates with arroz con gandules. Vamos a bailar esta noche, Mari, says Tia Elba. Maybe, I reply. Papi pumps up the volume and our house starts to vibrate with soulful energy. I watch Lulu laugh and step to the beat as Anna's skirt swishes and swirls. Everyone's feet are light as feathers as partners spin to the driving rhythm of Celia Cruz and Tito Puente. But again, I just sit watching. Mijita, take my hand, says Papi. No, thank you, Papi. I can't dance. My feet get all messed up. Mari, let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I still step on his toes. Close your eyes, Marisol, he says. Listen to the sounds. Feel the rhythm of the instruments from around the world. Around the world, I whisper. Gung, 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 ka. Gung, 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 ka. That beat you feel? Papi says. It comes from the congas, their drums, a call from Africa's savannas and deep rivers. I hear the call of the congas. Clack, 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 clack. 2 pieces of wood, the clave, echo from the island of bending palm trees and the crashing waves of El Malecón. I feel the wind swaying with me. And the guiro made from gourds from the lush forests of El Yunque keeps time with a scraping sound. I step to the beat. I smile as I move with the melody, front and back and front and back, and swing, swing, swing. Tell me more, Papi. I think that may be it. Okay, so as I mentioned before, or may have mentioned it, I Am Salsa is a story that's definitely based on my childhood memories of my parents throwing parties almost every weekend. It seemed like almost every weekend. And what I want to say about these parties, they weren't just parties to just eat and drink and whatever and dance, but these parties were very meaningful to my family and friends and community. This was a way for them to find kinship. Most of them had recently left their homes far away from all parts in New York. Here we had Cubans and Puerto Ricans and Colombians. And it was a way to share a common language, their food, their music, their dance, and to just connect with those memories, right? Because it took a lot of courage. You know, these were brave people. And at the same time, they were not sad. They were very joyful and excited about the opportunities that that this new world, this new country had to offer them. So they had that to get excited about. The other thing I want to talk about is the musical journey that Mari's father takes her on. So as I mentioned, salsa is a rhythmic music and also a dance, but no one can really agree on where salsa started. The one thing we can agree on is on its Afro-Caribbean roots. So it wasn't hard for me in my research to imagine the congas from Africa, the clave from Cuba, the guiro from Puerto Rico, and the piano. We go on because it actually becomes this mixture, this wonderful salad of different influences. So the piano that came from New York and the brass instruments that came from New Orleans made it the salsa that we know today. And as later on, Mari's mother says to her, she puts her hand on Mari's heart and she says, salsa is flavor and picante and spice from around the world. And that's why Mari says at the cover, I am salsa. She is all of this. So yeah, thank you. So now,
thank you, Jackie, for sharing.
Oh, thank you. So now we're going to move on, last but certainly not least, to Denise's story. And we have a special guest joining her that we're all very excited about. So take it away.
Well, thank you, Jackie. So my name is Denise Rosario Adusei, and I am from a Latin American country that speaks Portuguese, which is Brazil. It's the largest Latin American country in Latin America. And I wanted to make sure that we get represented as well during the festival. And I wrote Cesaria Feels the Beat, which is about an African Brazilian girl who is deaf and wants to dance in Carnival. So in Brazil, Carnival is a big deal. And we spend a lot of time preparing for Carnival and celebrating. And you see Carnival in various different countries in Latin America, Caribbean, and even in West Africa. And so across the African diaspora, we celebrate Carnival. Even in the United States, you can see a semblance of that in Louisiana and the way they celebrate in Louisiana as well. And I wanted to introduce you to someone who is here, his name is Patrick. He is our ASL interpreter. And the reason why we have him here is because in Cesaria Feels the Beat, the main character is deaf. And Cesaria Feels the Beat is about a deaf girl who wants to dance in Carnival in her own way. So let's begin. So Cesaria Feels the Beat. Ready for the seaside carnival celebration, Cesaria skips down to the bandshell to join her dance team. The marina is filled with floats, musicians, and dancers. So when you look throughout the page, you're going to see lots and lots of color, lots and lots of dancing and music, because that's how Carnival looks like in Brazil. As masked friends flood the beach and move towards the stage, Cesaria dresses for her performance. She puts on her tutu, feathers, and headdress, but not her shoes. Patrick, can you show us how to say shoes? Perfect. She prims her plumage and signs perfect. Can we show everyone how to do perfect? Perfect. Louise, the dance director, shouts, 5 more minutes, everyone. Let's put on our shoes. No shoes, Cesaria signs after reading his lips. But all the dancers wear shoes, he says. It's part of the costume. But peacocks don't wear shoes, Cesaria motions. Only because they don't make shoes for peacocks, Louise says, and gives her a pair of shoes anyway. So you can see here, Cesaria doesn't look very happy to have to put on shoes, and I wonder why. Cesaria shakes her head and runs to the field to hide, leaving the shoes behind. So on this page, you see a set of shoes. Patrick, can you show us how to say shoes in sign language? And that's how you sign shoes. 2 fists and you bump them together. No one understands, she whispers, while sitting on the high grass. Mud oozes between her toes. Slippers of dirt form over her feet. She doesn't look so happy here. Come back, everyone waves and wails. We're on soon. Her friends look worried. Cesaria shakes her head and runs further towards the shore. No, she signs. Patrick, can you show us how to sign no? No. She marches in tune with the pulse of the ocean. The earth radiates its heartbeat through her bare feet. The tempo tickles her toes. She moves to the music only she can hear. Cesaria prances like a peacock. She dances like a peacock. And she takes a stance just like a peacock. How do we sign peacock, Patrick? We make a high five, and then we take the pointy finger from the other hand and put it right in front. And that's how we sign peacock. Peacocks wear no shoes, she signs again and sighs. Cesaria struts back to the festival. But I can't let down my pride, she decides. A group of peacocks are called a pride. At the tent, Louise asks, do you still want to dance with us? Cesaria nods and steps into the shoes. She frowns. The earth feels still. There's no temple to tickle her toes. She squirms and shuffles onto the stage. When the curtains rise, the troupe points their toes. Cesaria stretches her palms to sign, but her fingers freeze. She stares at the crowd, the mass stare back in silence. Her hands shake, her heart races. Ba-doom-ba-doom, ba-doom-ba-doom, ba-doom-ba-doom. But then a sea breeze moves over her skin. She sways to the music only she can hear. She takes slow, steady breaths in, out, in, out. Cesaria flaps her wings, stands proud and signs, peacocks wear no shoes. When she kicks her shoes off, Cesaria mimics the dancing songbird. So I'm going to stop there because if you want to know the rest of the book, you're going to have to get it at the library or at the store and read it together. But thank you. Absolutely. So at the end of a story, the way we clap is not like this. But when someone can't hear, this is how the audience claps. And so at the end of today, everybody do this. And then we can say thank you to everyone. And we say thank you. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. That was wonderful. And thank you, Patrick. That was great too. So I have to say, Denise, I love this. I happen to be fortunate enough and privileged enough to have gone to Brazil many years ago. And I was in Rio, and the illustrations so reflect the colors that I saw all around me as a child. That's something that stayed with me, along with the beaches, which was beautiful. So I love the line in this story. She moves to the music only she can hear. What role does music play in storytelling for children, particularly for those who experience it differently, like deaf children or children with various abilities? Can you talk to us about that?
Absolutely. So even for children who can't hear, they still experience the vibrations and the rhythm through their other senses. And deafness is a spectrum. So there are some kids who can hear some sound, and there are some kids who only feel the vibrations or feel the vibrations. So it's important for us to first recognize all of that. But it's a way of communicating. I think when you talked about your story and the drums, in my culture, my mother is also West African. There are talking drums, and that communicates from long distances. So music is a way of communicating to various people, and so it's really important in all of our cultures that we experience music and we interpret sound in various different ways, and that we can move. But it really inspires us to move as well.
Absolutely. When Cesaria must wear shoes, I felt for her truly. You wrote, quote unquote, the earth feels still. She felt that. So like Lupita in Lupita's Brown Slippers, Cesaria also felt othered, left out, and feeling not herself by having to dance with her shoes on. Talk to us about that in particular for children who experience the world differently.
Absolutely. So for children who are deaf, and if they can't hear anything at all, they can't learn to hear. But we can learn to sign. And that way we can be inclusive. And so we have a responsibility. So much of this book is actually about conformity. And throughout the story, Cesaria tries to conform and try to operate in a hearing world. And then she just has to be herself and experience music the way that she can, because she tried really hard. And at the end, I don't want to give away the story, but at the end, she decides she's going to be herself and she's going to kick off the shoes. And then all the other kids as allies kicked off their shoes too, in a show of allyship. And everyone is able to participate. And so I think it's really important for us to learn that when people have various different abilities, if you're part of the hearing culture or hearing world, we can learn sign and include others into that. And so teaching children how to sign very early, it also gives them another way to communicate, but it's a way of showing that we should include people who are different from us.
Correct. Yeah. And, from my experience, I worked as a school counselor before I was a writer. Even hearing folks learn differently, texturally, right? Mm-hmm. Also some visually, right? Some are more physical. They learn more if they're on their feet. I see a comment pop up right now. I just want to share with you from Carla Espana. It says, "Oh, my heart, be yourself, kick off the shoes, surround yourself with those allies." I love that. Thank you, Carla.
Absolutely.
I also loved in your book, Denise, how I didn't even realize that she was a deaf child till about 4 pages in the book. And that mm-hmm. gave me that feeling again, that you were being very respectful of not othering the child by not saying it up front, Cesaria, the deaf girl, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know, if you thought about that, but I thought that was mm-hmm. done so beautifully and so respectfully to the deaf community, not to have that feeling of stating that first.
Absolutely. I think it's really important for us to have stories just about people with various abilities without having to say, this is a story about a deaf girl, and being so overt about that. And so she's just experiencing life the way she does. She's reading lips. She wants to be in a culture that doesn't exactly include her. And she's even given an explanation why she doesn't want to wear shoes. And that's because of peacocks. But in reality, because peacocks don't wear shoes. But in reality, it's because she can't feel the music the way she needs to. And I think that's representative of the way a lot of people who have various abilities try to operate in the world, is they don't want to be blamed for not allowing everyone to experience their life the way they normally do. And so here is Cesaria again, trying to come up with another reason why she can't wear the shoes. Because for her, the director of the program, also not noticing, we need to accommodate her.
And again, I have to say that in both Lupita's experience and Cesaria, there's this sense of agency that they take. This, again, I want to call it almost activism. Like, I don't like that the slippers don't match my skin tone. And in Cesaria's case, I can't feel the music unless my feet touch the ground. And how she held on to her own beliefs. And that's so important to express in children's books today, how you have agency. You have an opportunity to make choices.
Absolutely.
And I think and picture books have a wonderful opportunity to do that. Does anybody want to expand on that idea of this type of agency and this type of, speaking up for yourself? Cynthia, do you have something you might want to share? I can't hear. Oh, you're muted, Cynthia.
So sorry, I forgot. Yes, I agree on that. That my first story, Mi Ciudad Sings, it's the girl that goes through an earthquake, and then she wants to help. She wants to do what she's seeing others do. The community is helping, and there's kindness and there's solidarity. So that was really important also to portray in the book. Like she's also in charge, and she's bringing a lost pet back to the owner, and then she has the opportunity to put these to take action. So that's something really important. I agree. And then we see it in these two stories, which I just want to say I love them. And I already read them all, but I'm like, it's so important. It's so nice that picture books, you find new things with every reading. So now I'm going to go back and read them again. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Steena?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think it's important to teach children that they have a right to their voice, and they should use their voice to advocate for themselves. And so seeing examples of children advocating for themselves, especially when they're in the right, it's really important for kids to see that.
Absolutely. Steena, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a chance for us to share a story that is meaningful, to a young reader. And hopefully if they feel, believe it or not, I'm very shy at first, even though, all of the performance and all of that, so I wasn't the one who maybe stood up, I was maybe nervous, and I kind of would take in other people, first. But, that when you read a story like this, my hope is that maybe even somebody who's shy in the back, maybe they will say, it's okay, it's okay to stand up for what I believe and to use your voice and to speak up if you don't feel like something is right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember as a child, my father said to me that questions are more important than the answers. And what he meant by that is don't be afraid to raise your hand and say, but why, or ask something about what's going on that has more power and weight than even the answers do. So I think we have some time for questions from our audience at this moment. Let's see, are any popping up here that I should take note of? Okay, so here's one. Are your characters based on real people you know? If so, do the real people know this? This is from Tori from 7th grade, Rachel Carson Middle School in Herndon, Virginia. Who wants to take that one?
I'm happy to share. So Cesaria has, her history is, I grew up with a cousin who was deaf, and often she didn't see herself in stories. Our family had a tough time including her and communicating with her. Only people who knew how to communicate with her mom and her grandmother and her immediate family, and often saw that she felt excluded from our family parties. And then I remember a time when I was a child and she had her hand on the speakers, and one of my aunts came up to her and said, please get away from the speakers. And I said to her, but why? She's deaf. That's how she feels. She feels the music. And it took me as a child to explain to an adult that please let her be. She's actually trying to be part of our family party, and this is the way that she could do it. And then the name Cesaria is my mother's favorite singer. Cesaria was a Cape Verdean singer who is known as the Barefoot Diva. So it's a combination of my cousin's story plus the namesake is my mother's favorite singer, Cesaria.
Oh, I love that. That's wonderful. What a beautiful coming together. Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Cynthia? Anything, the story of A Flicker of Hope, is that based on someone you know or something?
Yeah, I want to say thank you for that question. It's a really good one. It's actually not based on one person specifically, but it is. So my sister worked at the Monarch Reserve. So she shared videos and pictures and stories of the people living there. So it's based not just on one particular family, but on the experience of many people there. And so it's just like the experience of the community. I wanted to put it into one story. So it is based on something actually real, but not one particular person.
Nice. Let me see. So I actually had one or two other questions. Since we are talking about music and dance, here's a little fun one for you all. Do any of you have a favorite style of dance or music? I know Denise just mentioned Cesaria and her music that you love that. Anybody else want to share a favorite dance or that you love? For all our little dancers out there who are boogieing it up, maybe you might just. I know, Sina, you mentioned the ballet. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, but also I'm Mexican American and I live in Texas. And just someone right away that I can't stop thinking of is Selena. I grew up, loving Selena music, the Tejano, also norteño Mexican music is a really big part of, Jackie, when you're reading your story. I mean, that's what we did, but with norteño music. And my grandma always had that playing in the background. And so, yeah, that's something that is really just a part of my life as well.
Oh, beautiful. I have to say, for me, as I mentioned in my story, I Am Salsa, music surrounded and dance surrounded my life. As I say, my parents were, always had family and friends over, and we were always dancing. So I grew up with so many influences, merengue, salsa, cumbia, mambo, all of it, bachata. And I have to say, I wrote a little back matter in that story, and that love of dance and music has served me really well, because when I go to weddings and parties, I'm out there dancing all the time. And my friends will say, someone will say to me, "Oh God, I wish I could do that. I wish I knew how to salsa or do any one of those things." And I think what they're really saying to me is that you look like you're having fun. And I always say, just get on your feet, just move. You follow your heart, your feet will follow. You know what I mean? Listen to the music, your feet will follow. So yeah, yeah. Um,
I just
I don't
wanted
know if
to
we have
add
any
one.
other. Oh,
Yeah, I wanted to
okay.
add one thing, Jackie, to that. When you read your book, I was also thinking about the same thing about the parties. I'm a huge fan of
Yeah.
salsa and cumbia and all these dancing. It's just I grew up in Mexico City, and as a young person, we would just go out dancing like 3 days a week, and then have all these parties and stuff. So when I moved, I live in Arizona now, and when I moved, I missed it so much and so bad. So I went to Zumba classes. It's like a workout thing, but it has the salsa music. So that filled that gap for me, and I even became an instructor because I was like, I'll teach people. Like it was just something that I needed to do so badly. So, so
And
yeah,
it was in your heart, it was in your soul. You had to
yeah,
move. You had to move. We
absolutely.
all need to do that. As a matter of fact, I use that when I come visit classrooms. I love to get the kids on their feet, shaking and moving a little bit. Sometimes before we even get into a story time. Yeah. Uh, so I
It's the same in
have an.
Brazil as well. We're very festive country, and my favorite dance is samba, and so it's the national
Of course.
dance in Brazil. But we also in Brazil we are very festive, and it's okay to come to someone's party if you're not invited, as long as from outside you clap and let them know you're coming in. And so clapping. So I remember as a kid hearing someone clapping outside my door or outside the house, and just like know that I'm coming. And so you announce coming inside by clapping, and then you're welcome to come inside. And so I just remember that as a kid living in Rio, hearing people outside my door clapping. And so clapping to me is like, oh, we're making a new friend, and
Oh,
someone's
I
coming
love
over and they're
that.
going to join our party. The same thing, as long as we clap and you introduce yourself to the host. And so I met my husband that way. I went to a party that I was not invited to, and I walked in, and the first thing I did is introduce myself to the host, and then I stayed. And
That's a story. Okay. Denise, that's another picture book. I love that. You've got that beginning there. The clap is an introduction to come in, and then what happens? See, story ideas come from everywhere. That's a
everywhere.
story. I'm telling you. That's a picture
It's
book.
really fun.
That could be a
Thank
good
you.
one. Okay, so I want to ask you a question that I hear that I think are important for our audience, because we have potential writers and illustrators out there. So I want to ask you all, do you have any advice for our audience, specifically because we're writers, on becoming writers? What would you advise them to do if this is something that they aspire to do, especially because they're probably writing stories in class as well. Steena, you want to start off?
Yeah, so I would say just thinking again about Lupita, just let yourself be free, when you're writing, let the images, let things come in, and don't hold yourself back. Don't think too much about, oh, what is someone going to think when they read it? There's a lot of rejection in later, as I decided I wanted to be a picture book writer. I hadn't really considered all of that. So that's something that I still work on today when I'm writing. I try not to think about that part, and I try to enjoy the process and just let the story come to me. And so I would say, if you really want to write a story and you have an idea, put it on paper. Ideas kind of stay in here, but once you put it on paper, it becomes reality. And just put the idea down. Don't judge yourself. Just enjoy, your story. And that part of the process really is the best part for me. So I would pass that along to new writers.
I like that. Absolutely agree with every one of those things you said. Anybody else?
I would say read. I surround myself with books, obviously, and being able to read other stories and see, and also just pay attention to people's styles. It helps you figure out what your voice is. Everyone's stories matter. And also share your story. Let other people read it, because getting the critiques, I have probably 5 or 6 different critique groups. And I love to get different perspectives when they read my story so that I can make sure my story is universal and is easily understood. I had a deaf critique group that read my book as authenticity readers. And I wanted to make sure that I was representing that community correctly. And so it's just really important to get different perspectives when you're writing.
Absolutely.
I would just add to that the reading part is so important, and also pay attention to what kind of books you like more, like in that particular time. Like maybe it will change with the years, but in that particular time, the books that are grabbing your attention, maybe those kind of stories are the ones that probably have to do with your style. So then something you can think about when coming up with ideas.
Absolutely. And I echo everything that you all said, not to judge yourself, to write down your ideas. And an idea could just be like a title. You don't have to just put the title down. And if you don't have the whole thing yet, it's just as like a jumping off point, or maybe it's the beginning of a story. But I do definitely agree with read. That is very, it really gives you an idea of what's happening out there. And also, as Cynthia said, you'll find which of the story, or do you respond more to the graphic novels, right? Do you like, writing more middle grade? Or do you like, or maybe perhaps you're an illustrator. Maybe the way you decide to write your stories is visually. So that's another thing. If you want to sketch your ideas out, that's a great way to do it too. I don't know where we are on time. I think, let's see, I'm getting a prompt here. But let's see, we have 30 seconds. Yes, we have 30 seconds. And I guess the last thing that I would ask, and this is a big one that you probably hear all the time, where do your story ideas and your inspiration come from? I already mentioned that for me, it's my curiosity. And being curious allows you to listen, to experience, to feel, and then, everything will follow. And the other thing too is your own experience. I know you think, oh gosh, my life is boring. What do I have to say? I personally disagree. I think we all have stories within us. And it could be simple, like maybe you had the greatest baseball game and you want to write that down. Maybe you went over to an auntie's house and she taught you how to sew, and it was a beautiful experience. So it can be anything and everything in terms of inspiration for stories. Anybody else want to add that real quick? I think we might have.
We ran out of time.
Are we out of time? I think we might be out of time. So I just want to say to you all, thank you so much, Cynthia Harmony, Steena Hernandez, Denise Rosario Adusei, for joining me on Get On Your Feet for this 2024 Latinx Kidlit Festival. It has been a total pleasure. Thank you all for listening and joining us. Yay! Bye, everybody.
Bye.